Good night.
All right, and welcome to another edition of Circle to Circle. That's what we called this show when Pete did it. We did it like on TV or whatever. But we have a special guest today. Joe Blute is back to Iona College campus, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing well, Andrew. How are you?
I'm doing all right. We're here for Relay for Life, where we do radiothons. So we do shows from 6. It should be from 6 to 6, but we do it from 6 to whenever we leave here. Probably like 12 or 2 a.m. So yeah. But the hockey playoffs are on. They're definitely on a roll. Some teams are doing better than others. What's it called? Las Vegas Golden Knights swept.
I can't believe it either.
I could believe, they were on a tear. That's the thing.
They were fantastic.
They had a great season, and they're just continuing. Like, it doesn't seem like they're burning out, too.
No, it doesn't. The rest is going to serve them really well, and it's going to be a heck of a series between San Jose and Vegas. I mean, both those teams.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what a terrible showing. It's funny because I'm going to be in LA in 2 weeks, and I was hoping to see the Kings or Ducks play in the playoffs, and neither of them won a game.
That's unfortunate. What are you going to LA for?
I'm going to LA for a short film. Yeah.
That's it. Just
I'm going.
You can't give us any more info on that, or
I'm not going to give any more info. The only thing I'm going to say is that I'm doing a short film. The other actor that I'm playing opposite, he's going to be in a big movie coming out in the fall, and then they hope to make this short film into a feature film at some point. So. Gotcha.
And here comes the man of the hour, ready to disrupt everything.
It is out of a disco ball.
Pete Consadori is here.
Pete, we got to tell Andrew all the stories from when we were back in chorus.
I'm fed up.
Sorry.
I'm fed up, tired, hungry.
Fed up, tired.
I want to go home. I got a light in my eye. I'm gonna turn. It's nothing against you. I'm gonna look that way.
That's fine.
Because I can't see.
Foot is
You're not the first person to tell me.
Okay, there goes the microphone. Oh no, it's just held on by that. Okay, no problem. All right, so what are we talking about? What did I walk into?
We were talking about. Well, first of all, Joe is going to do a movie in L.A.
Oh yeah,
shortly.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Go.
Yeah.
What details can you give?
The only details that I could give 2 details. It's a short film.
And you're in it.
That's it, right? I was just saying, Andrew, it's a short film. The director hopes to turn it into a feature. And then I just said the other actor who plays my paternal care, so to speak, in the movie. He has a big movie coming out in
That's awesome.
fall. Yeah, so
that's awesome. Hey, congratulations.
Thank you, Pete.
That was the end game for you, right? I mean, you were going for acting.
I mean, it is the end game, but it's funny because you never stop with it. Like I can't.
Oh no, I'm not saying this is the end all. I'm just saying you've hit the peak. Not the peak, but you hit
the bottom of the totem pole.
Right.
On that, but you're on the totem pole.
You're on the totem pole. That's the whole point. So congratulations, Joe.
Thank you so
how
much.
long will you be on set? You can't say either.
Well, no, that I could say. Actually, that's a good question. I don't even know. I think we're shooting over the weekend.
All right.
Yeah, I think we're shooting over the weekend, but I'm going to be out there for the week to
prep and
get some rehearsals,
do some reads and stuff. All right, cool.
How long does it take you to memorize script? That's always something that I want to know.
This kid's a pro. I mean, look, this kid did shows. I mean, I saw him tear apart a stage once.
Literally, I broke everything on stage.
Everything on stage. It was almost like True West, but for high school. It was a.
While the lights were out.
While the lights were out. It was like a murder mystery kind of thing, right? Yeah, so he completely ruined the stage. He mesmerized everyone, and I have to say, he probably left that production with more injuries than me on hockey practice.
The whole stage,
which is saying a lot, because I get hurt. So, congratulations to Joe.
Thank you, Pete.
I would like to thank Andrew personally on air for setting me up with some barrel one ends.
No problem.
Very generous of him. He didn't pay for it, but it's just generous for him to help me. He held those skates for about 6 weeks.
I mean, it's his job, but you know.
I mean, there was a post-it note with my name on it. I knew. I was like, Joe's gonna have to sell these, and I'm gonna come in one day. And they're gone. Great. Okay, because I'm procrastinating about it. So anyway, I want to thank everyone at Pure Hockey New Rochelle for being helpful and cordial.
No problem.
And so what's the show about? What are we talking about?
We're talking about the playoffs.
We were talking about the playoffs.
Yes.
Well, it was funny.
This light is killing me. I can't look at you.
Don't look at me. It's fine.
I can't look at him. It's not me. Look, you can see in the camera.
It's a good thing we're on the radio.
Saint? Like, what is this?
It's literally a light that's just shining right on you.
There's a light behind me. It's heating up the back of my head. I will have a suntan by the end of the show. All right, so playoffs. I have a couple questions for you guys because I do a podcast on the FNTSY Radio Network, right? Mm-hmm. So me and my co-host George Kurtz and I, if you want to go grammatically correct, we talk about the great stories of the playoffs, talk the great stories about the season, stuff like that. Vegas Golden Knights comes up about 9 times out of 10, right? You have an expansion team, which, to be fair, George McPhee had a great list of players to pick from. Yeah. James Neal, Marc-Andre Fleury, Wilder Karlsson, Nate Schmidt, Jonathan Marchessault. So the list goes on and on and on. So, well, my question to you guys is, was it the brains of George McPhee, or is it the players that have the chip on their shoulders that are making this team so good? They sweep the Kings in 4 games. It was a goalie battle between Quick and Fleury, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, the score didn't go more than, 2-1?
Yeah, it was 1-0, 2-1, 3-2. 3-2.
So 3-2 was the highest, right? So you sweep the Kings like that. The Kings are obviously a veteran team when it comes to Stanley Cups. Jonathan Quick has a couple cups himself.
Right.
Is it the players, or is it George McPhee and Gallant?
I think it's a combination of both. It's funny that you bring that up. First of all, someone joked and said, if Vegas wins the Cup this year, their parade on the Strip, every player should wear the jersey of the team that released him.
Honestly?
How funny would that be?
I mean, you probably run into legal issues. but that would be great.
People would be pissed off. But it's funny that you bring that up because, first of all, they had it. I mean, the NHL structured it in a way where teams weren't going to let off their garbage, right? They weren't going to just let off.
Protect 10 players,
right? Only 10 players,
and they pay a lot of money. They pay about $500 million, literally $500 million to be in the league.
Yep.
So they want them to compete, which is understandable. But I also think that Vegas has made a false pretense to when Seattle comes in 2020 that Seattle's going to be good.
Oh, they set the bar. Oh, absolutely.
They set the bar, but the class of players that are going to be protected or not is going to be way less than what it was this past expansion draft in 2020.
But do you think that? Because I really do believe that on paper, no one... Well, first of all, I think it also was a combination of some GMs being kind of silly. I mean, the fact that Jonathan Marchessault was not offered a contract from Florida was just ridiculous.
Because they needed to offer something to Keith Yandle.
Well, no, but I understand. But the fact that they're in that
I'm not saying it's right.
No, I agree with you. But I'm just saying, there were a lot of good guys that couldn't... Nate Schmidt on Washington...
James Neal.
Yeah, well, Neal was the big guy. Some of the superstars.
Fleury was the biggest, if you want to make that argument, but we all knew he was leaving Pittsburgh anyway.
Exactly.
He became the backup. He didn't deserve to be a backup. You knew he was leaving even if there wasn't an expansion draft.
Right.
So, Andrew, here's another question.
Yes.
Seattle comes in 2020. Mm. What guy gets picked from the Golden Knights in the expansion? So now he was taken from his original team, and now he's being taken from the Golden Knights. Pick one. Just pick one. Because I would hate to be the guy that got pulled from my original team, had a great couple of years with the Vegas Golden Knights, and then gets unprotected and taken by the Seattle Kraken or whatever, the Metropolitans, whatever they're going to be.
Was Mark Mathot there, or is it Mathot?
No,
Mathot's not there.
Is Mathot still with Dallas? From Ottawa?
I think.
Oh, he's with Dallas.
I don't know where Mathot is right now.
From Ottawa to there.
Who was the guy? Not England. He's not on the team, is he?
Yeah.
On Vegas.
England. Yeah.
He's a defenseman. Yeah. So maybe one of these guys.
He might be the captain next year.
He could, yeah.
I mean, he's the one that has the roots to Vegas. Like, he met his wife in Vegas. Right?
Oh, does he? Okay, I didn't know that.
I'm thinking that's the guy, right? It's not Perron. It's England.
I think so. I don't think it's Perron.
All right.
Yeah.
So can I? I'm sorry, I'm like taking over here, but I have a lot of questions that I feel like we could pose here. This light is the plug over there?
Do you want to switch?
No. Let's see if we can unplug it.
Hold on, wait. There's a power cord. Let me just make sure it's the.
Oh man. It's like a whole new world.
Yes.
You can see me. Hi. Okay, so now see me. Sorry, Andrew. Hang on, wait, I got you. Hang on.
You don't need a flashlight over here.
All right, so we got. All right, so here's my other question. I want to talk about suspensions in the NHL, and I want to talk about consistency. Now, when I talk about suspensions in the NHL, if you want to compare it to the NFL, we could say there's a little more consistency in the NHL. But hang on, let's talk about the NHL here.
Yes.
Brad Marchand. I hate this guy.
Now,
I don't hate him as a person, I hate him as a player, because I don't know how he is outside of playing. I can't judge him as a human being because I've never met him. I don't know him personally. But on the ice, the guy is completely wrong, whatever he does. He's cross-checking, he's spearing, he's doing whatever. All they keep doing is handing out these $5,000 fines. $15,000 fines. Well, we all know why it is. Marchand's making the NHL money because it's a good product. But he took out who? Adam Larson?
Johansson.
Excuse me. Johansson from New Jersey. About, 4 months ago, when he just came back to the playoffs, they lost against Tampa, so Tampa moves on. But you do something that dirty that takes someone out for 3-4 months.
Yeah.
My question is, why aren't these suspensions more prominent? Why don't we make the teams feel like there's a lesson to be learned here? So when I talk to George Kurtz on my podcast, we talk about why don't we find the owner? Don't find the player, find the owner and say, look, hey, guy's out, $1 million, done.
Right.
4 months. $1 million is obviously so exorbitant.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's just a theory, because then the owner's going, look, it's hurting my pocket now. Because it's not hurting the owner's pocket at all. He'll just keep going, all right, Brad, just keep paying your fines, whatever. We're going to pay you your contract.
That's a good point.
And Brad's like, all right, I'll pay the fines. It's chump change to him anyway. He's making, $5 million a year?
Right. Yeah.
So now, where do we sit and say, okay, Brad, you've done about 17 things this year. You've got fined for 5 of them. When do we say, okay, you're done for 20 games, or okay, Boston, you're fined $50,000 because you're letting this player play like that?
I don't think that they will. I know that they did that for Scott Bertuzzi because of what he did. So maybe if it was something like that.
But can we just stop there? Are we really comparing Scott Bertuzzi to Brad Marchand right now?
No. I'm just saying that's what it will take.
But Brad Marchand has been fined and suspended at least 6 times this season.
I know. But
that might be an oversight a little bit, but I mean, it feels like
I'd hate to be that guy, but it is Todd Bertuzzi. I hate to be that guy. I'm sorry. No, but you're right. But you brought up a great point, because Steve Moore lost his career from what Todd Bertuzzi did. He lost his career,
and he's playing.
Well, that's the problem. But Todd Bertuzzi, how long was Todd Bertuzzi
suspended?
Yeah, he was suspended for how long?
A couple of years.
No, it was a lot. I mean, I think it was
seasons. I think it might have been the rest of a season.
It was the rest of the season, I think. Yeah.
But okay, so.
But that's the problem. That's what it takes.
Here's something else to throw out there, because we talked about this on the podcast too. If you injure a player where they have to miss time, should the player that made the dirty hit miss the same amount of time as the person who got injured?
I agree with that. Here's the only problem with that, though. If you have a guy, and I'm not proposing that people want to fake injuries, but if you have a guy that hits someone, let's say Marchand hits,
Dominic Moore,
right? A Dominic Moore or a Jesper Fast, and they're
willing to hold them out.
Right, their injury is undisclosed, and technically they could play, they could force it out, but they don't have to.
You know, you fix that, independent doctor.
I mean, but they wouldn't do that.
Well, you put into rules and regulations. Have the NHL have an independent doctor that runs all the NHL, especially on dirty hits like that. Have him examine and go, look, this is what the injury is. This is how long he's going to be out.
Right, and then instead of give
an estimate. If it takes longer, it takes longer. If the guy says, look, he's going to be out a month, you have a month suspension.
Right. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, but we need to get this stuff out of the league.
A month suspension, just that alone.
Eric Staal got cross-checked in the head.
Yeah, it was a bad cross.
The guy gets 1 game in the playoffs.
Yeah, it should not be 1 game. It should be more.
Yeah, it was. It's so hard, because I feel like, and also too, then it draws the line of where it's like sometimes, where do you? I mean, again, not that a dirty play is an accident, but sometimes sometimes a player gets carried away, and it's like, all right, what? I didn't mean to do that.
Like that play with Chara, where he hit the
Pacioretty.
Well, here's another example. If you want to keep it here in this playoffs, Drew Doughty. Was that really a suspendable hit?
I didn't even remember.
So let me explain the hit. Drew Doughty's coming across to kind of hit him shoulder to shoulder. I forgot what the player is. The player seizes up.
Okay.
And because he seized up, the shoulder went to the head. Drew Doughty didn't leave his feet.
Right.
Drew Doughty wasn't headhunting.
Yeah.
The head went down. He backed up. He gets a game suspension.
Nah, that to me. No.
So this is where
they're trying to eliminate hits to the head.
Yeah, but if it's the person, like if you looked at that film, you could see he stands himself up.
Right.
If he would have kept going, that would have been shoulder to shoulder. It might have been boarding.
Right.
He may have fell and went head first into the board, and that's also very dangerous. But it wouldn't have been a shot to the head like it was.
Right.
And the boarding wouldn't constitute a suspension. It constitute a 5-minute major.
Yeah.
Or maybe more. Maybe a game misconduct.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's so hard.
It's
Look
hard.
at the replay and see what happens, because like I had one kid in practice one time where like I went to go hit him, and then he would always turn around. So when he turns around, then you hit him from behind, and then he goes into the boys, and then that's where I was like, yo. And then that happened in practice one time, and I was like, I didn't do anything.
I mean, they teach you. I mean, I was never taught correctly. I started in the beer league level. I started as a beginner. They just teach you here. If you fall, you can get back up. They never teach you how to take a hit, because there's not supposed to be no hitting. Obviously, there's contact as hockey. I don't mind getting hit, but we were never really taught how to take one.
No,
And there's a science to it, because if you don't know how to take a hit and you like tense up and hit, you can hurt yourself really badly.
Oh,
The simplest of plays. So these professional players know how to take a hit. I think with the Drew Doughty thing, it's very touch and feel. Like you said, it's very hard to think about, okay, do we suspend him or not? They made the call. They've been kind of consistent with suspensions in the playoffs.
But not for Marshall.
Not for
Right,
Marshall.
it's like...
And Crosby.
Well, that's the other guy too. I mean, that's the other one. I mean, last year. Well, it's funny because remember who did Marchand two-hand to the?
No, it was I talked about this too on my show.
Right?
Yeah, was it on Tampa?
It was on Tampa.
No, was it Dustin Johnson?
No, it was
Tyler Johnson.
No.
Tyler Johnson. Not Dustin Johnson. Tyler Johnson.
What was his name?
Not Killorn. No, it wasn't Killorn.
Cedric Paquette.
No, not Paquette. Was it Conacher?
Conacher.
I don't know who it was. But anyway,
Marchand did that.
Well, he did that. And
Crosby did the same thing.
And then Marchand got suspended and Crosby didn't.
Well, you know why?
Of course, because he's Crosby. You're not going to suspend him.
But you know what? That's the other issue too. Now you set a precedent. Connor McDavid can run someone over and practically kill him, and you probably won't get even a penalty.
Absolutely.
Look.
Yep.
So now you have the Austin Matthews, the Patrick Laine's, the Sidney Crosby's, the Connor McDavid's, the Jack Eidels of the world going, we just run people over, and because we make the NHL money,
Exactly.
we're good.
I mean, a lot of those guys aren't those types of players, but but you're right, the superstar Crosby, Malkin, and Marchand have been some of the dirtiest players in the NHL.
Let me make a point of that. Not yet. Sidney Crosby, when he came on, he wasn't like that when he was young.
He was a baby, but yeah, he was
a baby.
Right.
But he wasn't going after people and making little plays and doing these little dives. He was playing.
Right.
Malkin was a little different. He came from a tougher league.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So he plays hard, and sometimes that gets translated into dirty, which I think he kind of gets a bad rap for, because, like I said, he came from a very rough kind of league.
Right.
I mean, he was in Russia playing. They don't mess around. Right.
No. Then exactly.
So that's a tough transition, but not yet. We don't know how Austin Matthews is going to be. Austin Matthews does not play defense.
No, he doesn't play defense. He hasn't been as effective in the series.
It's not even effectiveness. He doesn't even try. He only moves his feet going toward the opposition's net.
He's the James Harden of hockey.
Right, but what does that do? You get frustrated. You don't want to play defense. Sticks start flying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. There's a play, right? If a player is that good and sees a Crosby getting away with it, then they're going to say to themselves, "Oh, well."
Especially if they want to skate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If they're going to
do you think that enforcers are necessary in that because of that? Because like keeping the game in check and keeping players.
The enforcer has to be able to play the game. I mean, I've had so many arguments with my father about this.
Yeah. It's not like the 1980s and 90s where the enforcer was purely you can skate, you can hit, and that's it.
Yeah.
No, it's not that anymore. Everyone needs to be a goal scorer. Everyone needs to be a playmaker.
Yep. You're absolutely right. Everyone has to have the talent. There's so many guys.
Brian Reeves, Brian Boyle.
Yeah. Dustin
Bufflin. He's huge.
Right.
He's 6'4", 230 pounds. Right? No,
265.
But he's also a superstar. He's not a.
That's what I'm saying. He's an enforcer, but he's a superstar at the same time.
Exactly.
If he was just a brute, he wouldn't make it in the league.
Remember George Larocque?
Yes.
No place in the league for that type of player. No, the guy Cody McLeod. No place in the league. No disrespect to the guy, but he's not a player. And I've said the same thing.
Tanner Glass.
I said the same thing with Glass for years, and it was funny because Glass actually played pretty well last year in the playoffs too. But before that, he was a dumpster fire.
I remember when Tanner Glass scored a goal against, I think it was the Canucks, and Alain Vigneault was just laughing on the bench.
Right.
You know it's bad when you're laughing on the bench.
You're right. When a professional hockey player scores a goal.
When a fourth liner scores a goal.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think if the enforcer can play, God bless them, they're in. But if they can't, no, they're a detriment to the team.
Yeah. So who do you guys think is going to win the Stanley Cup? I know you said Vegas.
Who's everyone's predictions?
I say
Vegas.
You didn't say Vegas?
No, I think. All right. So here's my prediction.
What was your prediction before the playoffs?
Before the playoffs, I had the Predators. No,
So did
I had Vegas.
you had Nashville winning.
I had Nashville winning. I had Vegas winning the conference.
Okay, I had the same thing.
But here's the problem with the Predators right now. They're having too much trouble with the Avalanche.
They are, absolutely.
And you know what? If they're having this much trouble with the Avalanche, they're gonna have a whole lot of trouble with Winnipeg.
Absolutely.
Because they'll probably beat the Avalanche. They're not gonna. They're gonna be caught with the tail between their legs, and they'll be like, okay, we need to start skating hard here. We can't just let this go. You know, they'll probably win Game 6 here.
Right.
Maybe not. It might go to Game 7. Colorado's at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if they're having this much trouble with Colorado, they're going to have a problem with Winnipeg.
Oh, absolutely.
Big one. Shifley, Laine, Bufflin, Wheeler, and I'm not even done. Like, just go through the whole lineup of the Jets.
Ehlers fantastic.
Hellebuck's been having a Vezina year.
Yep.
I mean,
the whole team.
It's ridiculous. And if you're getting a loss against the Hamburglar, there's a problem.
Yeah. The Jets, it's amazing too what's going on in Winnipeg. That city is just unbelievable right now. That place,
unbelievable.
That's probably the best atmosphere in hockey right now, and that's saying something because Nashville obviously had an incredible atmosphere and does. Vegas. The hockey city.
Yeah,
I was the first game. Did anyone see that like RuneScape type battle between the Knight and the King? Yeah, the medieval times battle.
Perfect.
And the crowd's going crazy. And I said, I look over to my friend.
Vegas.
It's insane. Everything's a show. But I said to my friend, I'm like, do these guys actually like?
I want to be the Knight.
Do they? do these fans know hockey?
Golden life.
They think, but look, you have to understand.
But they do. There was a tripping call. All the fans are up. I'm like, wow. I wish this was.
Look, they know hockey. Look, half of those people are probably California fans.
Yeah.
They were probably looking at Kings or Ducks or maybe Sharks. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, you know, the funny part about Vegas is I feel like they do it to try to acclimate the people who don't know hockey is thinking, oh, this is a show you're going to. This is entertainment.
And
they've done a perfect job. I mean, honestly, I don't think there's been a better Twitter account by a hockey team. I don't think there's been a better marketing than Vegas right now with their, the Armory is where you get all the gear. They've made all this. Well,
that's the
dragon.
Yeah, the dragon.
Or the
Chance.
Lizard. Yeah, Chance, which is I think is hysterical.
Right.
And they completely murdered that idea. They were like, oh, this guy looks like melon. Like he looks like a bunch of chopped up melons, whatever. Let me ask you a question about the East, because the East is a little more tricky. I feel like the West was a little more predictable. We kind of knew Winnipeg was going to beat Minnesota. Right. We kind of know Predators are going to beat the Avalanche.
Exactly.
Vegas, Kings was a little unpredictable, and I honestly thought San Jose, Anaheim was going to go 7.
I thought that series was a toss-up.
Because Anaheim usually comes back, and I thought the Sharks were going to win it, but I thought it was going to 7. But anyway.
Wait, before that, you think Getzlav, how many more years does he have?
He's going to be in the league for a while. How many more elite years? I don't know, but
he's going to be he's probably going to be a Duck until maybe his final year. He's going to get traded somewhere, and then he's going to
he'll come to the Rangers. 37-year-old superstar.
Honestly, I'm going to start calling the Rangers the retirement home.
That's it. Yeah. Well, not anymore. We're getting younger now. But
we don't know that.
We don't know that.
Wait. You don't know that. Can I just?
Yeah. Maybe don't play the Rangers. You think we're going to get Joe Thornton this offseason?
No. I honestly think we're making a play for Tavares and Carlson.
I think so too.
Both of them.
Well, let's get to. Would you want to talk about the Rangers?
Let's talk about the East, and we'll go to the Rangers, because we can go a half hour on the Rangers. So the East, this is what's more complicated. I don't have the Caps making out of the first round.
That's what I said.
Interesting. I do. Now that Wenberg is hurt for Columbus has
huge.
Columbus has no center depth. Bobrovsky's playing out of his mind. Maybe he might steal the last 2 games, but I do think that Washington. I said Washington in 7, but it is a toss-up. It is,
I had Columbus in 7. I had going 7 games.
And it could. Four games went to overtime.
Yeah.
It's so close.
Columbus has always been a thorn in the side of the East when they're ever in the playoffs.
Every team that's played them,
Even Pittsburgh. If Fleury didn't play as well as he did against Columbus in that first round for Pittsburgh, Columbus would have went through. Yeah. You wouldn't have had a repeat for Pittsburgh last year. Anyway, go ahead, Andrew.
What? Oh no! I was just gonna say that the Capitals, they're kind of like the Houston Rockets of hockey, because I think they need another player. Like they need like a Carlson to help them out, or to help Ovechkin out at least, because I don't think
you got it. Like you have Kuznetsov, you have Backstrom, you have Oshie. What else do you need? I think it's a coaching issue.
But Washington, I say this to people all the time. Washington, I think, is the most snake-bitten organization. If you think about it, the last 2 seasons, the Capitals have been, hands down, the second best team in the National Hockey League.
And can't win anything past the second round.
And why? Because the best team in the National Hockey team, the best in the league,
is in the East.
Yep, and they have and they in their same division, and they have to meet.
Here's the issue I have: you fire Alain Vigneault for going 7 seasons, 6 of which you go to the playoffs, but yet Barry Trotz still has a job.
But I think, well, again, I think when you put it in that context, when basically, and no disrespect to the Predators last year, no disrespect to the Sharks the year prior, but I do believe the Capitals were the better team than both of those teams. And when you essentially have, in terms of quality, almost the Stanley Cup final in the second round, how can you blame the coach?
Well, this is look. I agree with you.
If they lose this year, then Trotz, then there's some heads.
I agree with you, but if you have Alain Vigneault, a guy who has brought you to the Stanley Cup final, and deep into the playoffs, 6 out of 7 seasons, and he gets fired, but Barry Trotz can't make it past the second round, why does he still have a job? You have Ovechkin, you have Oshie, you have Backstrom. Well, you have all these weapons.
Well, there's two things. First of all, no coach has been able to do it. It hasn't only been Trotz. Also,
I know that, but
also Trotz is in his 3rd year, though. Alain Vigneault was in his 6th. That's the only thing I'll say. So if Trotz, here's the thing: if they lose in this round,
but Trotz couldn't do it with the Predators either. He couldn't get past the second round with the Predators either.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think he adapts to what's going on. I think he just keeps telling the players, do this, do this, do this. They do it all. It works for a couple rounds or maybe not.
So
and that's it.
He's like Phil Jackson, where he does like this triangle, and like everybody. Yeah.
Everyone figures it out, and then by the conference final, the second round, they go, nope, we got you. Boom, and nothing changes.
Yeah.
I like Trotz a lot. I think he's one of the better coaches in the league. Whether or not he adapts, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's still too early. And again, I really do think they got snake bitten. I mean, Pittsburgh makes every team look bad.
Yeah, especially right now.
Sure.
You know, and even that, and not only that, you're right, Pittsburgh, they might win the cup again. They could totally win again.
I don't want to talk about it.
It's awful. It's horrible.
Oh my God. So we have Tampa Bay going in. It looks like Boston's going.
Yeah.
Toronto was winning, but they have home ice advantage if they go 7 games.
Yeah, Boston's
probably going to come out the winner. I thought Toronto was going to win.
I picked Toronto.
And the reason why I picked Toronto is because if you look at the Boston Bruins, except for maybe their first 6,
3-1 Toronto, by the way.
3-1 Toronto.
Yeah.
Except for their first 6 and maybe their first 4 defensemen, they don't have much depth. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking you have JVR, you have William Nylander, you have Mitch Marner, you have Austin Matthews, you have the big body in Martin, you have the experience of Marleau.
Right.
I'm thinking, look,
their offense is incredible.
Right, but not this. The offseason, Matthews has been shut down.
Right.
Marner hasn't done much. Nylander's okay. JVR's got a couple points.
Yeah.
So now you sit here and go, well, Toronto would have been a problem against Tampa Bay Lightning. Should have been a problem against Boston. It comes down to this might be it for Toronto because can you pay JVR and Mitch Marner after you pay Austin Matthews in a couple years?
Right. JVR is going to go.
Marner's probably going to go.
You think? I mean,
they're going to keep Nylander and get rid of.
If they had to choose, yeah, they would.
Because they're going to have to pay Austin Matthews. They ain't going to let him walk.
Right. Yeah.
They're going to have to pay Nylander.
Yep.
Marner is up there, but you're not going to pay both JVR and Marner. And if you pay Marner, you're losing someone on the blue line.
Or you just don't get someone on the blue line, and they need someone on the blue line. Also, very foolish of Toronto. Why they didn't think that they needed McDonough. I mean, shame on them because it really killed them.
Yeah, but you know what the problem is, and Alex, I think the reason why Tampa Bay went for it, they could afford to lose Domestikov. And
for sure. Tampa. We talk about this
and prospects because they are in it to win it this year.
Absolutely.
Toronto, you know how much they would have had to give up for McDonough because Toronto doesn't have a Domestikov, and yes, they have Matt, but they weren't going to get their key 5. They weren't going to get rid of them. So who are they going to give the reins to?
There were two pieces that I wanted from a McDonough trade. I wanted a first-round pick.
And JVR?
No, I wanted a first-round pick, and Toronto has a prospect, Lilligerian. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he was the first-round pick in last year's draft, and he's a defenseman. And apparently he's developed really nicely. He's like their top prospect, their top defenseman. That's the guy I wanted, and Toronto wasn't willing to move on him.
Andrew, I have a point to make here. How do you feel about prospects and trades? Because to me, it's a gamble. It's a huge gamble.
But I think that Steve Yzerman has done a good job. So I feel like he's the one that if he knows like a good player, like because he was one himself, the captain of Detroit Red Wings, and when they had their whole run with Zetterberg and all of them. So I feel like he
has a winning mentality too. I mean,
he's.
I have nothing against Yzerman. I have nothing against Yzerman.
Mm-hmm.
But just because he knows how to win doesn't mean he's not going to make a deal with the Rangers. He knows it's probably a little unfair.
Oh yeah,
of course.
Yeah, I can't stand Steve Yzerman.
But you respect him. You have to.
Oh, are you kidding? He's a genius.
He's an absolute genius.
I don't know what he has on all these general managers.
Get Steve Yzerman and George McPhee in the same room. You probably can understand hockey in depths that you cannot even imagine.
Yeah,
true.
So now let's go to the Rangers.
Wait, well, go to the Rangers. Then I have a question.
All right, so. Ask the question first, because we're on the roll with this.
Do you think so? Giving contracts, like you said, to Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid, and all these young players, do you think that that's what ruins teams in the future? Because now look at Chicago. They have of course, Jonathan
McDavid one maybe, but not Austin Matthews.
Of course, Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane, they're both great players, but after a couple years, then
the thing is that the player really has to be worth it. I think McDavid is worth every penny. I think Austin Matthews is going to be worth every penny. I think Henrik Lundqvist is worth every penny. You know, these guys have to be worth every single penny. And the problem is when they're not.
I think they messed up on Draisaitl.
Absolutely. Draisaitl was a complete overpayment. Absolutely.
Do they end up like Ovechkin, where you keep building a team around them, always every year it doesn't work
but
at the end?
Yeah, but if you're a GM, you're not getting rid of Ovechkin. You're not getting rid of
Ovechkin. But that's
you're going to lock him down.
But Andrew, what's the alternative? You're not going to, would you rather have, and I got to be honest with you, the Rangers had one elite player in playing for them in the last 13 years, and that was their goalie. Outside of that, they haven't had an elite player. McDonough maybe scratched the surface a tiny bit the year we went to the Cup. That was it.
Yeah.
If you build a team around a bunch of decent guys on a good contract, you need elite talent. I am all for you need that elite contract. You need that guy. The fact that teams can't win while building around that other guy, that's the fault of the GMs.
Most teams, when they win, it's because they've gotten players at a discount that they didn't think were going to do well. Who the hell thought Connor Sheary and Jake Gensel were going to be who they were?
Exactly.
And Connor Sheary and Jake Gensel was just a hello, goodbye, sorry. So Jake Gensel and Connor Sheary were third, fourth line guys, rookies coming in. Yes, you play with Sidney Crosby, you're going to be amazing. But that's when you start winning stuff. Matt Murray, who the hell knew?
Oh yeah, no.
Who knew that this guy was going to be a shutdown goalie? But when it comes time to pay him, you're going to see a lot of people move.
Yep.
They may get rid of Sheary. They may get rid of Gensel.
Absolutely.
They may get rid of.
That's how you maneuver against the cap.
They may get rid of Murray. You don't know because they're working either on a rookie contract or they got him for cheap for a couple years and now they have to work what they have for that limited amount of time, and that's where you see the Cups won with all these talents. And that's why I said right now and maybe even next year Toronto has to try to win with JVR, Marner, Nylander, and Matthews, because you're not going to get more elite than that unless you get rid of JVR and Marner.
Unless they draft.
They draft and you get rid of JVR and Marner for some top level. If you get Carlson, let's just say for JVR and Marner. You know, there's no way you're going to build. The cap doesn't have enough room. Now, granted, the cap probably should be raised a bit because
it's going to help a lot of teams.
Because McDavid is probably has had the highest salary ever in NHL. So everything with inflation has to kind of go up.
Yeah.
But to your point, it could backfire like the Draisaitl signing. Draisaitl got all that money because he's been playing with McDavid and he's been doing well. Take him off the line with McDavid. What is he doing?
Yeah, no, nothing. Yeah. He's not doing $8 million. That's what he's not doing on that.
And it was $8 million for 8 years?
Right. And Andrew, you said it before too. The
10 years, whatever it is.
The two contracts, Kane and Taves were an overpayment at the time. They should have got 9 max.
That was such a gamble.
They both got 10. Taves was an amazing captain. He does so many intangibles that a lot of players don't do. But at the same time, ability-wise, he's not that elite. And you give him $10 million, now you're giving it to him because he got you 3 cups.
Such a gamble.
Kane's different. Kane is an elite talent. Kane is, he's won an MVP. He's an elite talent. He's a top 10 winger in the game. Maybe a top 5 player in the game. Definitely, probably a top 10 forward. But again, you got to make sure that guys are worth that.
But that's what I admired about the Rangers, because they did have like top players, but it was more like
the Rangers never had top players.
No, maybe not top players, but you did have players that that stood out, but it was more like a collective as a team, and that's why I think that every year, like with the Lane Vigneault, they did make it far, even if they didn't go all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah,
year,
but
they did make it far. But like,
you know what the Rangers has been to me?
like
A
Tampa.
farm team for either Tampa or some other team. Like, because I feel like everyone develops with the Rangers, and then once they leave, they're doing amazing
It's the same
things.
thing with Ottawa.
Well,
the
look-
Senators.
Right. Well,
That's-
look at JT Miller. Well, who's he playing with now?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why, though. But that's why.
Yeah,
He's on the line with Kevin Hayes and Michael Grabner. What's he going to do? Then he goes to play with Stamkos and Kucherov. Of course he's going to tear
Right.
up.
So now let's bring it to the Rangers here, and I really think Tavares is not going to be an Islander next year.
Absolutely.
He hasn't signed yet.
100% agree.
I can't stand when I hear an Islander fan. He's going to sign. He would have signed 6 months ago when they gave him the contract.
It's more likely that he's going to walk now than he's going to sign.
He's gonna
Absolutely.
walk. There's a couple places that intrigue me. Montreal intrigues me because I feel like he can fit well.
Please don't.
I'm not saying he will. I'm just saying it intrigues me. But also the Rangers. Now, I don't know if this guy by pride or loyalty wouldn't do it, but I feel like for the right price he would.
All of us want it so
Because the
badly.
Rangers,
We all want it
but
so
the
badly.
Rangers are in a very nice situation because they have all these prospects. You have Hedel and Anderson coming up, who did okay
Right.
for us in the tailing of the season.
Yep.
You have Pionk, Gilmore, a lot of good defensemen too to help with the Girardi. And you know what? I think we kind of have to start pushing Mark Stahl out a little bit.
Oh, and his time is with the new coach. His time is past.
Right.
It's done.
So now what intrigues me is, do they take those prospects, give them to Ottawa for Carlson? And you get Tavares and Carlson.
I mean-
Now you have a strong blue line. You
Right.
pair Carlson up with Shea.
Yep. You put Shattenkirk
You put
on.
Tavares as the top line.
Yep.
You put Shattenkirk with
you'd-
Gilmore.
Well, maybe you'd have a tie.
Or maybe you do Shattenkirk with Carlson.
You
You
have
put
so-
Shea and Gilmore, or Shea and Pionk.
And then D'Angelo got hurt. He's still there. You have so many guys.
D'Angelo, I don't like.
You don't like D'Angelo?
You traded for a guy to bring him up. You traded
Oh,
a guy.
the trade was bad.
But I don't
agree
like
with
him
you.
because if you traded him and you're not even starting him, there's something up.
Well, that's because of Vigneault. And then now he's got. Well, I don't.
But he was also in Arizona, so being good on Arizona is not necessarily
No.
a good thing.
I'm
Unless you're Oliver Ekman Larson,
Right.
it's not really necessarily the best thing in the world.
I'm not saying D'Angelo is a great player. He still has a long way to go. I'm just saying that I would put D'Angelo in the mix of Gilmore and Pionk and all. Maybe not Pionk, but Gilmore and all the guys coming up. I think they're all kind of in the group, and they're going to see who's going to play the best out of all those kids.
Is there?
But I'm not. I mean, Pete, I'm in complete agreement with you. Go all in on Tavares, because also too it
There's
makes
so much cap room.
we have so much cap
paying.
But not only that, the only thing that doesn't make sense for look, and we don't do it right. We don't know the guy. We don't know what he's thinking.
Right.
But the only box that it doesn't check for him, where it doesn't make sense, is his conscience. Oh, I'm just going to a rival and I'm going to upset a ton of Islander fans. You get your money. You know you're going to be on a competitive
You
team.
can contend.
Next year you're going to contend. You should be able. Right, the Rangers are going to be in the mix for the playoffs next year. And every time Henrik Lundqvist is at the elite ability that he plays at,
You can't
have a
take it for
chance.
granted.
Exactly, you have a huge chance. And then worse, like where would Tavares want to go? He probably likes New York.
I want to
Why not stay?
I want to make
I
a
was gonna
point.
say
I want to make a point about Tavares and have a question for you guys. Tavares first line center, Zibanejad second line center, Mestikov third line center. Right?
So you trade Hayes.
I would make Hayes fourth.
I mean, they're going to have to trade a center. I don't think they're going to be because then you have Hedel and Anderson. At
They'll
the
probably
center.
just bring him down.
I don't know. I think they
Or they move Hayes to wing. He did well on wing.
Yeah, maybe they could do that.
That's just my thought.
Right.
Because if you get Tavares, you ain't trading Zibanejad. You ain't trading.
Right.
You ain't trading Mestikov.
I think the Mestikov is going to be the one to go. I really do. I don't know why.
You've been getting him from McDonough. You think they
Yeah, I do. I don't. I
you
don't
think he goes for Carlson with all the prospects?
he could. Yeah.
So now here's the point I wanted to make. Islanders. Does it turn out to be a Matt Duchene thing when Tavares leaves? They go to the playoffs.
No.
Because Matt Duchene left. I want to be on a playoff team. Gets completely demolished on the Senators, and now the Colorado Avalanche are giving the Predators a run for their money.
Right. No, and you know what? I don't see the only way the Islanders contend. And they could very well do so. But the only way they contend and they turn it around. First of all, they need to completely fire their front office. Why Garth Snow is still the general manager?
Contract so bad.
I have. Well, no one knows what it is. Like, is his contract contract in perpetuity. Like, why can't they get rid of the guy? It's unbelievable.
For Senators, you're talking about?
No, for the Islanders. And so he's the longest tenured GM. The only other GM that has a longer tenure so far right now in New York, and New York sports, is Brian Cashman than Garth Snow. That's insane. And Garth Snow's won one playoff series, and the face of the franchise is about to walk out the face of the door. Why he's still there, I don't even know. He needs to get fired, and the Islanders need to luck out, because the Islanders have 2 lottery picks. They have Calgary's and their own. If they lucked out and both of those picks landed somewhere in the top 10, and they bring in proper management, then they could turn it around.
They need goaltending.
And they need a goalie. And they need to learn how to play defense.
I say DiPietro should suit up again.
Well, they're still paying him, so he could.
I mean, honestly, anything's better than Grayson Halak.
That's funny.
They underwhelmed this year, but their team defense was just horrid. It was such a joke. Their coverage in front of the net was just. It was worse than the Rangers. If that I don't know how that's possible, but it was.
Yeah, I think that Carlson would be more likely to go to the Rangers than Tavares, because like you said, Tavares, he's like that
July
quiet,
1st.
that quiet kind of player.
Andrew, I know you don't want to listen to me,
But I think
I'm telling you, July 1st,
yeah.
you're going to see 3 updates come through the phone. 3 of them. Carlson to the Rangers,
Yep.
Tavares to the Rangers,
Yeah.
and freaking Garth Snow was fired. Like, there's
Well, we want Garth Snow to stay. We want him to stay.
I think
'cause that's good for
but I'm
us.
just saying, you know he's going to get murdered once Tavares walks.
Oh, yeah.
Because the only thing that's keeping him in his job right now is that
It's
Tavares
Tavares,
hasn't
yeah.
signed anywhere yet.
Right, yeah. And they're
So
hoping
once
that,
July
and they're hoping
1st
that he's
hits,
going to be the one to bring him back.
Right. Once July 1st hits, those are the 3 things you're going to see. Tavares to the Rangers, Carlson to the Rangers for like 20,000 picks, and freaking Garth Snow is going to be gone.
I think that
could very well happen.
Tavares doesn't sign unless Carlson signs as well.
I
think he
that's
might be waiting
smart.
for that.
That's smart.
Well, but Carlson's going to have to trade, so the Rangers are going to have to give up a lot for him.
They need.
But I'll say this: if the Rangers pick
Nemestikov and all the prospects that they got.
yeah.
If the Rangers fall out of the top 10, see, this is why, I mean, the Rangers, they got it. They got to get lucky with the draft this year. The top 3 picks, obviously, Dahlin, the kid from Sweden.
Yep.
He's the generational talent at defense. He's going number 1.
We're not getting one.
Well, we're not. Well, you never know.
Yeah, you never. I hate the draft lottery
I
system.
can't stand. I think it's so I think it's fixed. I think they're like micromanaging everything in the back.
You think?
Absolutely. How many times did Edmonton get? First of all,
all the busts. Like literally every single one.
yeah, and they kept getting the number 1 pick
Until they left.
No one will ever convince me otherwise. And I got into such an argument with. And listen, I'm first of all, I'm not this tin foil hat guy. Number 1, I'm not at all.
tapping my brain.
I'm not saying that I'm in this conspiracy theory business and whatnot and the other thing. But I will say this, the NHL is a business, and they have interests in how to grow their business and whatnot. In 2005, when there was no season, they had the draft lottery behind closed doors where the public was not able to see anything. Who got the number 1 pick? The Pittsburgh Penguins to pick Sidney Crosby a year after they got Evgeny Malkin at number 2. There were no games that year, and the draft lottery was not televised, and it was behind all closed doors. There were 4 teams eligible to get that number 1 pick. 4.
So you're saying
Pittsburgh, Anaheim, Phoenix, and the Rangers. The Rangers fell the furthest down, followed then by, I believe, Buffalo. Or no, was it Buffalo too, or was it Anaheim? Or Phoenix? 4 of these 5 teams were eligible,
Buffalo.
and Pittsburgh got them. No one will convince me otherwise that there wasn't a wink and a nod to Mario Lemieux because why? Because Pittsburgh was on the brink of bankruptcy. They were about to move to Kansas City. They needed a new building. Where's Crosby going to go? He's going to go play in the desert while the Penguin franchise moves? No. And listen, I'm not saying the league contrived it to happen that way, but what's in it? But what's in it? What's the best interest in it for the league?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's funny.
I'm sorry, and it just looks so bad on paper. Why would you televise the balls? Just show the fans. Just show the fans where they drop. Why do you have to do it behind closed doors? The NBA does it with the balls. Why doesn't the NHL?
You see, this is why I brought Joe.
I'm sorry. It just makes me so mad.
It makes sense. I mean,
It does.
And again, I'm not saying they didn't do it. But I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. So I'm not saying they did do it right. I'm not saying they did do it, but I'm not saying they didn't.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but here's a conspiracy. That was funny.
I just loved seeing the Devils get the first pick this year after Colorado did absolutely nothing.
Right.
It was hysterical.
Colorado was they 48 points last year.
What's with the lottery? Colorado should be getting Hischier or Nolan Patrick. What the heck was this lottery doing in this year? They should have said, you know what, lottery or not, we're just going to give it to Colorado.
How do they base it, the lottery?
They don't. They pick it out of the hat.
Okay.
Well, no, but listen. I applaud the NHL for doing what they do, because then and it's actually fun. Well, they try to avoid the tanking. And which is great, because you know what? Good, because you know,
fine,
great, wonderful. But the only thing, but it's such a simple fix. Just televise where everything goes instead of just coming out with all these envelopes.
Yolanda Vega and Yolanda Vega here with your picks.
Right.
First ball up, Colorado.
It's
Devils. Second ball up, Philadelphia.
So why they don't do that is because then the problem is then people have questions. Then it's like, all right,
let me explain to you the thing I don't like about the lottery. The lottery should only be between the top four or the bottom four.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be everyone out of the playoffs, because someone who just missed the playoffs has a chance to get the first round pick. Because of the lottery.
Right, yeah.
It should be the bottom five. If you want to be, let's say bottom five.
I agree with that, right.
Because it's tanking.
They do have a way, though, where, it's just based off the highest percentage.
The percentage is right. So, like, Colorado probably got, let's say, 6 ballots, and New York Rangers got none, because, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it works. But you got to throw a bone to, like, Buffalo and Colorado. Like, there's no way that these franchises are going to be good ever if they keep losing and they keep losing the draft lottery. I mean, there's no way in any situation possible that they're going to get better, because they have no one to trade unless they trade half their team away for one guy.
Right.
There's nothing they can do except for draft people. They have no prospects, either farm team of theirs. This is the problem.
Yeah.
You need... Look, it could be a GM problem too, but even if you're trying to prevent tanking, keep it bottom five, those who get the first five picks.
I like that. And then amongst the top five...
Right, the rest of the draft, you lottery.
We're out of the top five. Like, I like that, where it's like a structure where the bottom five teams, they can't pick out of the top five, but you don't know where they're picking. And then the same thing with 5 to 10.
So then you don't get the tanking as much, because you're like, oh, well, if we tank terribly, we'll get the first.
But the Rangers is weird, though, because the Rangers can't pick 4 through 6 in this draft. Mm-hmm. They're not allowed to with where they fell. Like, they're the 8th worst team in hockey this year. I think they're not allowed to pick. Yeah, but they can get 1, 2, 3. I don't get it.
Is that the rule applied because of all the trading about the picks and stuff, and conditional picks and all that stuff? Because if they, let's say, got a
I don't know the rules. I don't know what it is. But Pete, I agree with you. Just keep it in like containment.
Throw someone a bone, because Edmonton.
Lucky.
Almost 5 years in a row, they got
crazy.
Top picks.
Yeah.
I mean, and look, honestly, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins needs to leave that organization if he wants to be good.
Well, I think he's been very underwhelmed. I don't think.
He left, great. Taylor Hall left, great. Nugent-Hopkins needs to be moved. Even if it's to Arizona, he's going to do better.
Yeah.
There's something plaguing the first-round picks of that team, except for Connor McDavid, that is something awful.
Well, I also do think that none of those first-round picks, I mean, and I'm not saying, Nugent Hopkins or even a Yakupov to an extent, who now looks like a total bust, but, I don't think those guys were never at the level of a McDavid or a Matthews, you know what I mean?
Agreed.
It's
a fair point.
But also, Edmonton's been last year Edmonton overachieved.
Look at Hischier and Nolan Patrick.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. They're in a better environment. Yeah, absolutely.
If you had them up in Edmonton, let's say no Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
Not as good as Austin Matthews, not as good as Connor McDavid. What are they doing?
Right. Then nothing. First of all, did the Oilers win a game this year without McDavid? They're like worse than the Avalanche.
And I want to make a point, Andrew, because I don't know how you feel about the Hart Memorial Trophy. I don't care if he didn't make the playoffs. Connor McDavid,
same thing. I agree.
Connor McDavid got over 100 points in the second season straight, and his team helped him with nothing.
Yeah.
Yet all they care about is Taylor Hall because he went to the play. No,
the greatest thing is
it's the season MVP.
Because Kucherov was in the lead, and then we have to say, hey, who do you think is going to get the most points? Oh, McDavid for sure. And the fact that he could score when he wants to, not even like
right. So but now we talk the Hart Memorial, which is the MVP.
Yeah.
I've heard people say you gotta be in the playoffs. I completely and wholeheartedly disagree with it.
Absolutely.
Because you could do great and your team not make the playoffs. If Taylor Hall's team didn't make the playoffs, he would still be in the running for the Hart, just like Connor McDavid, and I bet you he'd still win because he was 38 points above the second point scorer. But you have Connor McDavid, who has a repeat over 100-point season, especially with how bad his goaltender has been, especially how bad his organization has been.
Yep.
He can't win?
Yeah, and I don't know why I keep...
He's out of the running because they didn't make the playoffs? Are you kidding me?
I completely agree.
I don't know why I keep bringing it back to basketball, but when Russell Westbrook got the triple-double, even if his team did not make it, if OKC didn't make it, I'm still giving it to him. He's doing it by himself.
Exactly.
So Connor McDavid...
They would do it for LeBron.
Yeah.
If the Cavs were garbage, LeBron would still win MVP.
They were.
Right.
So, 2 years ago.
But those are the notions that you just want to show, who's the best player in hockey? McDavid. So wouldn't McDavid be the most valuable? Of course he would. But people think that but Hall made the playoffs, so that. And listen, Hall should be number 2.
By a thread.
No, absolutely. And Hall should be number 2. And it's amazing. The year he had was absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Incredible.
But he's not McDavid. McDavid is still better than him, and McDavid therefore should be. It's literally like I can't tell you how many times I get into the Stanley Cup argument with people with Lundqvist, and they try to tell me
because
he's not that great. He's not that great because he hasn't won a cup, and it makes
say the same thing about Ovechkin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's nauseating. You're absolutely.
I want to throw something in here because this is another thing we talked about before I go. Ovechkin's a better goal scorer than Wayne Gretzky.
Yep.
You know what?
We said that.
That could be true.
Now wait,
I agree.
I'm going to justify it.
Yeah.
When Wayne Gretzky was playing, the goalies barely went to butterfly.
Yep.
They were wearing
down.
nothing. Yep. No padding. Nothing. There was about 75% of the goal covered.
Right.
Now it's 98%?
Yeah.
Yep.
And Ovechkin has these numbers. Now, granted, he's never going to hit the numbers that Wayne Gretzky did. I am not in any way down.
Well, you don't know. Maybe
it's still hard.
If he has, what is he's at? I know, I agree.
Very hard.
But people didn't think that he was going to be this good to this point.
Right.
So
But hang on. Let's just give the respect that Wayne Gretzky deserves. He has the same amount of points in little time. You have to give him all that.
Yeah.
But if you put Wayne Gretzky in today's NHL,
Nope, not as effective.
You know what he is? He's a Kucherov.
That I don't agree with. Here's where I don't agree with. First of all, I completely agree with you. You could absolutely make the case that Ovechkin is the greatest goal scorer of all time. You won't hear anything from me. But what I will say about Gretzky is that the one thing about Gretzky is that first of all, he anticipated the game. No one ever anticipated the game. So what I'm trying to say is that he could anticipate the game today. So I do think he would have less points.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do think he would.
He'd be elite.
I think he would lead the league in points. I think Wayne Gretzky would have more points than Connor McDavid would right now. I really do because of how he plays the game. But let me just say one last thing about Gretzky. When Gretzky played, at his time, he still wasn't the best skater. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the best in anything. But his mind was the best. He anticipated everything and where everyone was going. 110%. So I do believe that he would lead the league in points today. Because of the goalie equipment and stuff, wouldn't be as much.
How about this? Let me make this case. He would lead the league in points, but he'd be more assist heavy than goals.
I agree with that.
He was still assist heavy when he was playing,
but even more so. Forget it.
The differential would be completely off. It would be 100 assists to 20 goals.
Absolutely.
Because he would be able to make the play, but I don't know if he'd be able to score.
Yep.
I agree. Less athletic Crosby.
No.
What do you mean?
Really?
What was that?
Like Wayne Gretzky now today would be a less athletic.
No, I don't even. In terms of the athlete, I don't think Gretzky's in the same. I mean, Gretzky's obviously an incredible athlete.
You can't compare Lemieux and Gretzky to the Ovechkins and Crosbys of the world because they played in different times.
I'm just talking like what he was saying.
No, but he definitely is a lesser. In terms of maybe pure specimen, I think he's a lesser athlete. But I do.
Maybe hockey sense like a Crosby?
Yeah, that's what I was...
I think Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux have a little more hockey sense than Crosby.
Lemieux just dominated. Lemieux just had the body. He just It was boys against men with Lemieux.
No, I completely agree. Well, you know what the hell you're doing.
Oh, absolutely. No, 100%. But Gretzky was driven off. His biggest thing was just his anticipation and what he saw.
And that's what I see about Crosby, because every time he's on the ice, he doesn't have to score, but like he scores amazing goals. But he's the one that like
stuff
will
away
see
from the puck.
Yeah, he'll see you like a mile away, and he'll know where you're going, and he'll put the puck right there for you. Like what he did when they played against Ottawa, it was him who passed the puck to whoever scored the last goal, and I was like, I saw it happen, and he did it. So that's why I would say that he's less athletic Crosby.
Well, I agree with you too, Andrew, because Crosby, the biggest thing about Crosby too is that Crosby does everything. Every intangible Crosby does. If you need the puck to be bat out of midair, he does it. There was a goal he scored in his second year in the league, and he scored it against the Rangers. I'll never forget the goal. A puck was coming across the crease or across the slot, and the puck, like the guy passed the puck, and it was almost like a shot. It was a very hard pass, and it was off the ice. 9 out of 10 players would have the instinct to try to like bat the puck out of the air
with the skate or something, or with the shin and try to.
Yep. And what did he do? He grabbed it, put it right down, and scored. And everyone said too. 9 out of 10 players would not do that.
Yeah. No, look, I hate Crosby because he's a rival of mine, but I respect the hell out of him.
He's the. And even though him and McDavid are the best players in the world, and Crosby has been the best player in the world.
If you want to talk about consistency in years, you have to give the edge to Crosby.
Of course. Oh, absolutely.
Give McDavid 5 years, I think McDavid passes Crosby.
Oh, absolutely.
But right now, you have to give it to Crosby just because of the years of consistency.
Absolutely. But you need Crosby to do anything, he does it. You need him to be the playmaker. You need him to score 40 goals, defense, anything.
But also, what he said, he's not the best goal scorer. He's not the fastest player on the ice. And like he's not the toughest player on the ice.
Crosby?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, to me, that's like a less athletic wing.
More athletic. Yeah. I mean, I definitely say, no, you're absolutely right, because again, Gretzky was the best player at his point in time, and Crosby's been for his whole generation.
That's it. That's it for me. Just wanted to give you that.
That was another episode of Circle to Circle. We brought it back, this year.
Wait, you call it Circle to Circle?
Yeah.
You took my show from Steve.
Steve here.
Oh, okay, all right.
No,
Yeah, all right. I'm going back because I'm on.
The audio version.
Did we call the TV version Circle to Circle?
Yeah.
Okay, because we did a radio version of Circle to Circle before.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, before your time. Me and Steve.
Oh, shit.
It's all right.
Nope. Never mind. That's my bad.
Yep.
All right.
Edit that in post.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, Pete, for being here. Thank you, Joe, for coming.
Thank you,
See you
guys.
guys next time.